Hey everyone, Dr. Fedi here. Happy New Year. 2026 seems to be a very promising year for the hair loss community as we have many compounds in development like Brazula and GT20029, which we constantly speak about in this channel. But there's one compound that's been silently in development, and in 2026 it's all gonna come into play as the company recently reported that they're beginning their phase 3 clinical trial in 2026, and we're also going to have the phase 2 results, the full data, the efficacy, the safety profile, and all the numbers in 2026. And I'm of course speaking about PP405. Now, what intrigued me about this particular compound is that it's very much different from the hair loss stimulants that we have like minoxidil and the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride and dutasteride. This one is a little bit different in terms of people can use this product. You can use this product in theory even if you're a Norwood 7. You can use it on a completely bald area in contrast to other hair loss treatments currently in development like Brazula and GT20029. This is because this treatment has a very novel mechanism of action. It reactivates stem cells by increasing the activity of the lactate dehydrogenase enzyme by inhibiting a certain complex called the mitochondrial pyruvate carrier complex, which is responsible for facilitating pyruvate's entry into the mitochondria, where it's going to be used for the Krebs cycle. Now, I don't want you to really remember all the mechanism of action because you don't really need to for this particular compound. All you need to understand for now is that this product inhibits pyruvate's entry into the mitochondria, and so it increases the pyruvate quantity outside the mitochondria, which leads to an increase in the lactate dehydrogenase enzyme activity outside the mitochondria, so that some of that pyruvate will transform into lactate. That increase in metabolic activity of that particular enzyme, the LDH enzyme, will in theory increase the stem cell reactivation and transform the dormant hair follicles from the telogen phase into being in the anagen, the growth phase. And I want you to fully comprehend that mechanism of action because it's going to come into play when we speak about the safety profile of this compound. Now, when I say a cure, I don't really use that word lightly. There are three key elements of a cure. First of all is eradication. The underlying cause of the disease is completely removed or neutralized, which is the case in this particular product. The second key element is durability, meaning that the disease will not occur after treatment stops. And the third key element is no maintenance therapy. And all these three elements are present for PPP405 if the efficacy is there. So was it there? So we have the results of the phase 2 clinical trials done for this particular product that were conducted in 2023. These phase 3 clinical trials were randomized control trials that included 78 men and women with androgenetic alopecia, representing a diverse range of skin phenotypes and hair textures. The subjects applied PP405 or a placebo on their scalp once daily for 4 weeks and then were followed out to 12 weeks. The study met its primary safety endpoint and secondary pharmacokinetic endpoint as the drug was well tolerated with no systemic absorption of PP405 detected in the blood, which is very important here. Remember, this compound inhibits pyruvate's entry into the mitochondria. It inhibits literally the Krebs cycle, the cycle responsible for giving us energy, for giving us ATP as human beings, which is the unit for energy in our bodies. And so if there's any minimal systemic absorption and we inhibit the Krebs cycle and all the other cells in our body, for example, in the brain or heart, that can lead to drastic catastrophic side effects. So keep that in mind when we're talking about this product. The preliminary results from 1 month of treatment showed a rapid and statistically significant clinical response. At week 8, only 4 weeks after the completion of treatment in men with a higher degree of hair loss, 31% of those treated with PP405 exhibited a greater than 20% increase in hair density, compared to 0% of patients responding in the placebo group. So this is very good, but again, like we had with Brazula, if you remember, we got the results from the efficacy of phase 3 of Brazula in percentages. It's the same in this press report. We got the efficacy results in percentages. They say 31%. Now, we don't know what the fuck does that mean, because 31% could be 2 hairs per square centimeter, and it can also be 20 hairs per square centimeter, right? Depending on what baseline are we working with. So when will we actually have the full data of this phase 2 clinical trial, and when will the company proceed to do the phase 3 clinical trial? Well, the full phase 2 dataset presentation is likely to be at a medical meeting in 2026, which will be offering more detailed efficacy and safety data, which was the same as happened in the phase 1 clinical trial, as they firstly made a press report to drive the hype up for this company and product in general and to bring investments, and then 1 year later they presented the full data in a medical meeting. So that's probably what's going to happen in 2026 regarding the phase 2 clinical trial. But we're also got the news that the company is going to pursue the phase 3 clinical trial in 2026. That's why I said at the beginning, 2026 seems to be a very good year for the hair loss community. We've got so many products, but especially we've got the PP405, which I think offers an alternative type of treatment for some kind of androgenetic alopecia patients, because some patients don't really have that baseline that will offer them a good result with finasteride, dutasteride, or even Brucella or GT20029 once they are approved. With this particular compound, the whole idea behind it is that it can even reactivate stem cells from dormant hair follicles that seem dead in completely bald areas. So this will, in theory, give a solution for that category of androgenetic alopecia patients who have advanced stages of the disease. And before speaking about the safety concerns and thoughts I have about this product, I want to give a quick reminder for you guys. I resumed my meeting service. You can book a meeting with me in the link in the description, and we can craft a personalized hair loss strategy for you and your individual case of hair loss. Alright, now jumping to the safety concerns. From the phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials for this compound, from the press reports that we've got, the company reported that they detected 0 quantities of systemic absorption, meaning the concentration of this compound was 0 in the bloodstream, because it's a topical gel. So once the subjects applied the product on their scalp, they did blood work and they found 0 concentration of this product in the bloodstream, which hypothetically is good, but it's not really enough for me. I want to see larger scale data, because in the phase 2 clinical trial, we only had 78 patients. I want to see these safety numbers on a larger scale data. This is very, very concerning to me, especially as a physician, because if we inhibit the pyruvate carrier complex that gets pyruvate into the mitochondria, that again can be catastrophic, like literally death threatening. So it's very important to me to follow up with these data, especially when it comes to the safety concerns. I want to see these numbers reflect on larger scale study, like the phase 3 clinical study, which I've got the information that they're going to include about 1,200 patients. So this product is going to be offered in a gel form, and it's going to have the concentration of 0.05%. That's the concentration that they tested in their phase 2 clinical trial, and that's the concentration that they also determined to be the most efficacious and safe in the phase 1 clinical trial. The regulatory submission and potential approval, if the trials were successful, would occur in the 2027 to 2029 timeframe. So this is gonna be a long wait. I see a lot of people talking in the comments thinking that this particular compound is gonna be approved in 2026 or something. It's not gonna happen, okay? The phase 3 results are gonna start in 2026. At least 1 year to get the full analysis of those trials, and then 1 year to 1 year and a half to get the FDA approval if everything goes well. So at least we're looking at 2027 to 2028 and potentially 2029 for this product to be approved in the market. And the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is a comment that I found a little bit funny, not even insulting at this point, but I decided to make this section once every week in my videos where I speak about hate comments and shine some lights over them, because I genuinely think that we can learn something out of reading these comments. So this comment says, "Why is this hair loss expert going bald?" You know what? I'm not even gonna blur the username of the person who made this comment, but I want to address it. This is like the situation of an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist who wears glasses, right? Some people look at it as it messes with credibility. Although every sane person knows that your vision and whether you need glasses is primarily determined by your genetics. It has nothing to do with your behavior. But still, some people still make that comment to eye doctors, right? So this is the same analogy here. This person is wondering, why am I going bald, but at the same time pretending that I understand about hair loss? Well, first of all, I'm a medical doctor, so that gives me expertise. Second of all, you would think that out of all people on this planet, the people that would comment on your hair loss the least are people who watch androgenetic alopecia videos, because they have hair loss, right? So they know the struggle, they know how it feels like. So those are, or should be, the people who comment the least and judge you the least and shame you the least about your hair loss. But it seems to be the opposite for some reason. I don't know. You can post in the comments why you think that is. It's really weird to me, the psychology behind comments like these, and I see a lot of these comments in my comment section. And to be honest with you guys, these kind of comments were one of the reasons why I made such a long hiatus from posting on my YouTube channel. Of course, in addition to my medical career, as it is insanely time consuming, I'm currently doing an internship and I'm about to start my residency, and that is definitely one of the most hard times for any medical doctor. And so I really didn't find the time to post. But also, one other psychological factor to why I was reluctant to post videos is comments like these. And these type of comments used to bother me a lot, but not now. They don't bother me nearly as much as they used to bother me before. And that's because I embarked in this self-reflection journey where I started focusing on stuff that I can control, stuff like meditating on a daily basis, going to the gym and training and trying to grow muscle, things like my medical career and my financial situation and my relationship with people and with God. When I started focusing on those type of things and I stopped concentrating on things that I can't control fully, like my hair loss, life started to feel rainbows again. And so that's why after I embarked in this journey, I don't really get bothered by this type of comments nearly as I used to. They still bother me to a minimal amount, but I can just laugh about it and move on at this point. So let me guys know what you think about PP405. I made this video because a lot of you guys suggested this topic in the comment section. So if you want me to talk about any other product or topic regarding hair loss, make sure to post it in the comments, and as always, stay safe. Wata!